Hello and welcome back. So today I'm going to be talking through the practicalities of my motorhome. I'll be going through how everything works, how I set up for my trips, what I do when I reach sites or when I park up, and also what I do when I return from my trips and how I pack everything away. So stay tuned to find out. The night before any trip away, the first thing that I do is I use the 240 volt hookup cable, plugs straight into the electricity, and this cools down the fridge because you want to make sure that the fridge is down to the right temperature before you set off. I have worked this out, so either having it on the night before from about 7 p.m. if you want to leave about 9 a.m. the next morning, or plugging it in about 7 a.m. in the morning if you want to leave after work about 5-6 p.m. works as well. At least for my motorhome, that is how it works. So this plugs straight into the garage. I just leave that plugged in overnight just to get to the right temperature and cool enough. And I will show you where it plugs to outside. One thing you want to make completely sure of is that your wire is completely untangled before you plug it in for safety reasons. This on the outside of my motorhome is where the 240 volt hookup lead plugs in. So all you do is just plug this end into that. You can probably tell by looking at the cable that it goes straight into there, which direction it goes in. So doing this one-handed, you just plug it straight in. If you push it all the way in, there we go. You'll know as soon as it's plugged in all the way. You should be able to see as well that there is no gap at the back. To release this later on, once you're finished, you just push down this and pull. But for this purposes of this video, I won't be doing that. So now that the hookup cable is all plugged in the garage, the switch is turned on. All you have to do inside the motorhome is you turn on this switch, which you can see it's now lit up. That means it is connected to the electricity, so it will be cooling down the fridge now. The other buttons that we have here, this one is for when the engine is on, so it won't cool down the fridge, but it holds the temperature, which is why it is so important to have it cooled down fully before you leave on a trip. So on this side we have the gas switch, is when you park up at a location or for use overnight if you park it somewhere overnight. It does cool down the fridge really well. So apart from the hookup lead, gas also works really well to cool it down. The only one that doesn't cool down and just holds temperature is when the engine is on and when you switch this on. So out of everything that I sort out in preparation for leaving on a trip in the motorhome, the only thing that I tend to do the night before is the fridge, which obviously needs to be cooled, as you have seen. It usually works really well, it gets down in temperature amazingly well. The next thing that I do is sorting out the bedding, filling up the water tank and the toilet. So I will go through everything of how I do it. Usually these things I do on the day, it depends how much time I have. Obviously I like the water to be as fresh as possible. I feel like that's quite important, so I usually just do that on the morning before leaving on a trip. It means that you're quite busy the morning of a trip, but it's worked for me so far. I will go through each and every one of the points of preparation that I do now. I will start with filling up the water tank and then move on to the rest. When I'm filling up the water tank, the first thing I usually do is look at this level. If you hold down the test button, it shows how full it is. At the moment you can see there are no lights lit up for the water tank. This means it's empty, it's not registering as any water in the tank. This is because I empty it after every trip I do, so that it's clean every time I go on a new trip. And I also monitor this as it's filling up just to see what level it gets to. At the moment I'm at the stages of trying to figure out how full the water tank needs to be, at what level it needs to be for different lengths of trips that I go on, because obviously I don't want to be filling it up to the top level where it goes up to this top mark every single time. I feel like that's just a waste and I don't really want to do that. So I'm just trying to figure out at the moment how much I need in at each length of trip. For the rest of this control panel, I'll quickly go through. So when I click the test button, you probably notice that it pops up here with different lights. This is the battery. So this is off the solar panel. The solar panel charges this, hence why it is so full. On the top, this is the solar charge controller. If you look at the middle, it shows it's currently charging because it is a sunny day, and it just continues to do that and keeps the battery topped up. And the other one, which isn't lit up, is over here. This is for the oven. So when the oven is on, this will light up. Other than that, the rest of the switches are just to turn on lights, taps, the fridge, and this is like anything battery related. Aux. As I have previously shown before in the tour video, this is where I fill up the fresh water tank that is underneath the seat inside. So all I do is I unlock this, take the black lid off the top, put the hose pipe in. It's just a little circle. You put the hose pipe in and just leave it to fill up. And then I will check the monitor on the control panel inside just to see what level it's at. So I'll go through that now. So taking this off, you can see this is where the hose pipe goes through. It's just a tiny little hole, so you just put it in there and it fills up. Other than using the control panel to monitor the water level, the other way is to take off the pillows and check underneath. This is where the water tank is, so easiest way to check is to take off this lid. You take off this and you can look inside. So these little bars inside are where the water must reach for it to be registered. The first level is probably the one that needs the most water to be registered. But other than that, I just keep an eye on that. And once it's finished, I put the lid back on securely. Put the block lid back over for the seat, and everything just fits back together quite easily. And there you go. So once the water tank's done filling, that is it, all sorted, and it would be ready for a trip. The next thing that I think about on a trip is the toilet. So I always leave a supply of toilet roll and everything in here, but we need to figure out the toilet itself first. I'll show you where I get my toilet supplies from and how I prepare the toilet for a trip. Around the back left hand side of the motorhome is this little cupboard which keeps all my toilet supplies in for the Thetford cassette toilet. I have gloves which I always use to fill up the toilet with. As you can see, it's very full with supplies at the moment. This is because the small toilet fluid bottle that I have is currently running low, so I've bought a big one as a backup for when it runs out. So the way that I prepare the toilet is sorting everything out before I leave. I use Blue Diamond toilet fluid. Obviously there are other brands. I will be looking for an eco-friendly one at some point because having to look for chemical disposal points is quite a faff on, honestly. So the easiest way to do is read the instructions on the back. 100 milliliters of toilet fluid straight into the toilet, and then 1 litre of fresh water. So the easiest way I found is using this bottle that the previous owners left. I've marked on where 100 mils is. I then fill it up to that level, pour it straight into the toilet, and then fill up. This is a 500 ml bottle. I fill this up twice with water out the tap. To quickly show how everything works, you lift up the toilet. It's currently closed, it's a bit hard to see. You turn this round, just like that. Then all I do is fill up the bottle up to 100 ml with toilet fluid, pour it straight in, then fill it up twice with fresh water, pour that in as well, and that should be it for sorting out the toilet before we go. Then all I usually do is just close that up, ready for the trip, and put everything away again. And it's easy as that for the toilet. Okay, so now that the fridge is sorted and is cooling down as we speak, the water tank is filled to the appropriate level, and the toilet is prepared with the toilet fluid all sorted and in. The next thing that I do before setting off is sort out the overcab bed, which is quite honestly the bane of my existence. It takes so long to sort, it takes the most effort. I am out of breath every single time I have to make that bed, but the reason I do it before I leave on a trip is so that it's sorted and I don't have to worry about it when I get to a location and settle down for the night and be clambering all over trying to get the bed sheets on. I don't want to do that. So I sort it out before I go. and then I leave the bedding for the bed area down here, the double bed that's in the seating area. I leave that up there while we're travelling and just sort that out once we get to the location. It's not as bad as the overcab bed for making it. So I'm sure there has to be an easier way than the way that I do it, which is quite honestly painful to watch. However, you're going to have to watch it because I'm going to show you how I do everything. And this is one of the things that I unfortunately have to do. So here we go. This is the start of my pain trying to make that bed, which starts with getting everything back down again and then doing the bed sheets. Here we go. Wish me luck. Okay, step 1, almost complete. I have realised this side is not quite on yet. I bet you haven't seen anyone make a bed so chaotically before, ever, but now you have. Okay, so now that the toughest part is done, next thing I need to do is put on the top sheet and then the duvet. The duvet is honestly just going to be thrown on. It is not perfect. I'm okay with that. It can be sorted out later. Let's finish this bed. So, it's not beautiful, it's not perfect, but it is done. That is the struggle I go through every time to do the overcab bed. I will show you how I do this bed down here, which is also a double, but kind of folds out, so it's a bit easier to do. I will show you how to do that now. Okay, so now that the bed is completely finished, the pillows are up there, and the bed sheets for this bed are now up there as well, out of the way. I will show you how I make the double bed for this seating area. The first thing I do is take off this because it gets in the way, so put that to the side and then I can extend everything. So let's do it now. So this is the bare backbones of the structure. It's quite stable in the centre. I could stand on that, it would be absolutely fine. So then you just put the cushions back in a certain order and it's fixed. So this is the finished bed. Obviously there are no sheets on it. The sheets are up on the top with the duvet. It makes a full double. To me it's more of a 3/4 double, but it is supposed to be a full size double. So it works fine. 2 people can lie here, no problem. And it's very comfy. So yeah, that is basically how you make the beds in this motorhome. I am not going to show you how I do the sheets on this one because it's a lot easier. You can guess. You just put them around the corners, the edges of the sheets, put the duvet on, and all sorted. Now that the overcab double bed is sorted, it's all made, ready for the trip. The last thing that I would do is make sure that the gas outside is turned off before moving. Very important to make sure that the gas is off before you travel anywhere for safety reasons. Then I would make sure that I turn off the fridge off the hookup cable, unplug the hookup cable, pack it away back into the motorhome, and then I will turn on the engine and make sure the fridge is turned on by the battery. The gas cupboard is shown by the LPG sticker, so all I would do is just open this out. I have secured both gas bottles with an old t-shirt in the middle, just to make sure that they are secure when travelling. So I will undo that. And all you do is basically the rule lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. So I tighten it, that is completely shut, is ready for travel. As you can probably hear, I have now turned Birdie on, so the engine is on. I have switched this off from the hookup cable, it's all packed away. So just when you're moving, to keep the fridge at the same temperature, you turn this on and you can find out straight away from the light. If the light is on, you're fine. So ready to go. So if we fast forward, I've arrived at a site, I've parked up, whether it be overnight or just at a location just for a few hours. First thing I would do is get out, turn the gas on so that I can then turn the fridge on. Easy way to do that is it will start clicking. If you turn on the switch, you then hold in the button and turn it. I will quickly show how to turn the gas on the fridge once you've parked up, and obviously open the gas tap so that it is turned on. So once you've parked up at the site, you've turned the gas on, you would come back inside, make sure that the battery is turned off first, then looking back across to the gas side, you would turn this switch on, it'll then start sparking, so you'll hear it. Turn it to the right temperature. I always have it on about 4 because it gets really cold, like below freezing if you put it on the highest one. You then push this in, turn it to the left until it stops clicking, and once it stops clicking, you just release and your gas will be on. So once you're finished with the gas, when you're moving on and you need to turn the gas off, you just turn it back around, turn this switch back off, and go back to your battery. And that is how you work the fridge when you're out and about. Once I'm parked up at a site, I don't necessarily have to have the hookup because I have the solar panels, so I just use the leisure batteries. So we turn them on using the aux, you can see it lights up. Turning the fridge on also when I get to a site. This is for tap and this is for lights. So we have light switches down here. You can probably see it lights up immediately. That's basically how I use everything once I am on a site. And there's not much more that I can give advice on from that. Getting a net to cover the door is a must in summer and has worked really well. For appliances like the grill, the oven, I've kind of gone through them already in the tour video when I first got the motorhome. It's basically just make sure you've got the gas on to use the oven. That's pretty much it. Other than that, the only other thing is the skylights that I have, which I have dared to open. I know it's shocking, but summer was very hot. I had to figure out something. So we now have skylights in operation. I will quickly show you how to use them. So if we look directly above, this is the skylight. All you do is turn it round like this. I don't usually tend to have it too far open, but it works really well and closes well. The only thing I would say is make sure it is closed before you set off on a trip, because if it is not and you go on a motorway, then it's probably going to break and it's going to be expensive to replace. So always make sure it is closed before you set off again. The only other thing that I do once I've parked up, either for the day or for the night, after I've turned the gas on and sorted out the fridge, the second thing that I always do is security. It's not an appliance, it's not how to work anything, it is literally just security. I always go straight to wheel clamp, put my wheel clamp on the outside, and then I have a steering lock as well, so I put that on as well, just for extra security. On the outside of the habitation door, I also have a little lock that comes across. You can then, with a key, you can then lock this manually. It works as well, it's worked great, and I would recommend anyone to just think about security as much as possible. There's probably more things that I could do. At the moment, I don't know what else I can do, but I might learn over time. So yeah, that is the only other thing. Then I would say enjoy yourself, because you have arrived, everything's sorted, enjoy yourself. Okay, so now fast forwarding to returning home. The trip's over, you've returned back home. The first thing that I do is sort out the fridge yet again. I feel like it's the most important part. Turning off the gas, making sure that's fine, and emptying the fridge and putting everything back in the house again. So I'll sort out the fridge first. The next thing that I do is sort out the grey water. So I will show you that now. Easiest way to do this is I have a little container that I inherited from the previous owners that they used to use to funnel the water into it, and then they can dispose of it. Showing how to do this, it comes out really fast. You have to kind of control it with the lever, and once you've done that, I then come back inside. So the next thing that I would do after emptying the grey water is emptying the water tank. I always do this after every trip because you don't really want water left in there for what could be weeks on end. So I will quickly show you how to sort out the water. The water tap is underneath the seats. So you can see this little box. You just open that up, you turn the tap round, and it will start emptying onto whatever is underneath the motorhome. I have a drainage system in my front yard, so we just kind of let that drain since it is clean water anyway. So after I've done that, I then come back inside, check that everything is sorted, empty the duvets, the bedding, and then I sort out the toilet last. So I will quickly show you how to sort out the toilet. We do everything from the outside. It is taking the cassette out, then disposing of it properly, I would say, and then putting it back. It depends how heavy it is. For me, it can be quite a struggle to carry because it gets really heavy if it is full. I don't know if there's any easy way to sort that, but probably not. It's a struggle, and you just have to do it. So yeah. So this is the toilet cupboard without all the bottles in. It's pretty easy to see the toilet back there. All you have to do is make sure that this is pushed down and then pull it out. This is where it releases from. Once you're at a chemical disposal site, you unloosen it and then you can empty it, rinse it out, then put it back and push it all the way back in. It will lock into place, so then you won't be able to pull it out unless you push that down again. So yeah, that's pretty much how to empty the toilet. Then you just put everything back in here and close it up. So after the toilet is sorted, that's pretty much everything appliance wise. I just go around, check that everything is turned off, that the gas is off, the fridge is sorted, and once that's done, I just empty everything out of the motorhome, clothing, some food, whatever I've had with me that I might want to bring inside again. You may notice this time that I have not gone through how to use the gas heater or the boiler. That is because I haven't had to use them so far. I will probably go through them in winter once the days get colder and once I've had a few trips out where I've learned how to use them properly. I have tested them both, but I haven't used them enough that I feel like I could give a proper tutorial on how to use the appliances. That is pretty much how to use everything in my motorhome. As you can probably see, I have fire extinguishers, fire blanket, and another fire extinguisher in the front cab. Always handy to have, I would recommend that to anyone. And that is the end of the video. Thank you everyone who has watched this. thank you to the person who suggested that I do this video, because I'm sure there are people out there who wonder how to actually work a motorhome. Once you've got it, how do you work everything inside? So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!